Hey everyone, Isaac Mulcahy here, and I want to talk about role-playing. Role-playing, in a lot of people's eyes, from what I've heard, is just a bunch of nerds gathering around a table, moving little miniature figures around, eating Doritos, drinking Mountain Dew, having a good time hanging out with your friends. Role-playing is a lot more than that. Role-playing is something that I use every day. Now, I'm not saying that I game every day. What I'm saying is I have different roles that I play every day. You probably do too. One of the roles I play every day is dad. When my son is climbing on stuff, I go into dad mode and I say, Liam, put your leg down. Liam, put your leg down. And I've gotten to the point where he knows when I put my dad voice on that I'm serious. That's one of the modes that I go into every day. These are things that we all do every day. I know, for instance, my wife, when she's on the phone, her voice gets higher pitch. It's her phone voice. It's a role that she plays. She used to be a teacher as well, and I remember visiting her in the classroom, and she was a different person when she was in the classroom. Teacher mode. I'm sure that you guys have modes too. Maybe you act a little bit differently around your friends or around your family than you do with the other group. And that's a normal thing. These are things that help us define our personality, and they help us really discover who we are as a person, and eventually you kind of see those modes bleeding over into other aspects of our lives. But I want to talk about more than that. I don't want to just talk about role-playing in our lives. I want to talk about how role-playing is actually a tool that can help us improve ourselves. Now, the Journal of Clinical Psychology, back in the 80s, they were doing research on role-playing and its use in development of social skills. And back then they said, quote, one of the common uses of role-playing in psychotherapy is in the area of skill development, e.g. social skills. Now, they ran some tests and some trials to help validate their study and their conclusions and whatnot. But I want to talk a little bit about a study that was done a little bit more recently. There was by the Autism Partnership Foundation, they conducted a study revolving around this procedure called cool versus not cool. And what that is they would take some students that had this disorder, that had autism, and they would identify situations where the teacher would be role-playing a appropriate behavior and not appropriate behavior, and they would say either that was cool or that was not cool. So the students would identify, and then they would also role-play, they would interact with the teachers, because this hadn't been done before in this recreation of this study. I want to just talk about the results real quick. It says, the results suggest that role-playing may be an important component for skill acquisition, and clinicians should consider utilizing role-playing from the beginning of intervention. And that's what they called this. They called it intervention. And before, they weren't doing role-playing, and they weren't quite getting the results that they wanted. When they introduced role-playing to the cool versus not cool, which is, so instead of just identifying that's cool or that's not cool, they would also have the child act out what is cool and what is not cool. And they found that they improved, that the children were able to better identify and act appropriately. Now, this is obviously done in a clinical study. It's in a vacuum, so once you put that kid around a bunch of other kids and having to identify appropriate behavior when other kids are probably or possibly just not using good appropriate behavior, that's a completely different story. But the point is, we can develop social skills through role play. We can improve ourselves through role play. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about kind of that development of identity. I think I mentioned it before. How these different roles that we play, they help inform us of who we are. They inform others of who we are, especially because those are the people we interact with. Now, the author, Orson Scott Card, he wrote, in his book Ender's Game, perhaps it's impossible to wear an identity without becoming what you pretend to be. And doing something can help change you and turn you into that person that you're pretending to be. Another quote that I have is from Richard Zwolinski, mental health counselor. He wrote in Psych Central, a therapy blog. He said, "Role-playing is a great way to gain insight into yourself and others. It can help you become more sensitive to the positions of others and help you understand how others see you, as well as improve your confidence." Now, in context a little bit, in therapy sessions, as we mentioned before, psychotherapy and whatnot, but in therapy sessions, this is used as a tool to help trauma patients. People who've gone through difficult situations, they role play, and they found that it's easier than just talking about the problem, but interacting and discussing kind of how you would with like a trusted friend. Trust is very, very important in role playing. It cannot be understated. When I role play with my friends mostly, we sit around the table and we all know each other. We all get along, but we have created for ourselves a safe space, and that's what therapists do. They create a safe space for people to interact in, for patients to open themselves up and to begin healing. Now I feel like I've been going on for a little bit. Probably because I have been. I'm going to roll 2 clips. One of them is a conversation that me and my friends had a few days ago when we were talking about role playing and how it actually has helped improve our lives day to day. So that's going to be the first clip. The second clip is actually going to be from one of my favorite TV shows called The IT Crowd, where these guys, they are nerds just like myself. They're computer nerds. They're IT department. They play Dungeons and Dragons. And one of the characters goes by the name of Roy. He's just been going through a really hard breakup, long-term relationship. And Buddy Moss says, "Okay, I'm going to take care of my friend in this role-playing game." And they create this safe space, which is what we do when we play role-playing games. We open a safe space for us to explore new ideas and themes, and he does that in this and he creates a safe space, and they role play to help his friend get over this breakup that he had. And I think it's kind of a fun little demonstration about how role playing at the gaming table can actually help improve one's life a little bit better. So enjoy these clips, and thank you for taking the time to talk and listen, being a part of this. Jason is going to talk to us a little bit about how he plays at the table and how that has helped in decision making a little bit.
Yeah, so I found myself in real life, I've never been quick at making a decision. That's usually been the hardest thing for me. And then in this last session we had, my character had to make a decision of what he was going to do. My character had witnessed somebody doing something evil. He hurt a lot of people, killed people, and I was a witness to that. And he was about going to get away with it. So basically we tried to talk through the whole thing, just trying to get him to admit to it, or even just slip up and say something that would perjure him, and then it would happen. Instead, I basically had to throw it all on the table, throw the hammer down, and just say, I accuse this person of this. This is what is going to happen.
Yeah, you're beating around the bush a little bit, and you had to just dive right in, right?
Yeah, and that's something that my normal life I would never do. It's not something that I'm like, I love doing this. Yeah, let's just throw it down. Fully commit, and just say, no more. I'm washing my hands. I am committed. Hell or high water.
So, being hesitant mostly in real life, how has being able to make committing to a decision in the game, how does that help?
It helps me almost open my eyes. That hesitance can slow me down. If I want something, I need to be able to make a decision and say, this is what I want. I don't want to hesitate and lose that opportunity. Instead, it's time to make the decision now. I can take a step back, take another look at it, but I need to be able to say, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do to get it, rather than, well, I don't know.
And after something like 3 or 4 years playing the game and playing the way that you live hesitatingly, that was a big moment for your character and for you in general.
Shining,
and
yeah.
From now on, that might actually help, right?
Yeah.
That'll help maybe commit to a decision. I've done it before, I can do it again.
Hello, Dark Harden.
Hello. Who goes there?
'Tis I, Queen Eliza Eldritch of the Elves, who cruelly jilted you not 3 moons ago.
Don't do this.
Just go with it, Roy.
Hello, my queen. How are you?
I'm fine. You look well.
So do you.
Does she? Yeah, she does, actually.
Does she?
So, what are you up to?
Oh, you know, just keeping busy. Missing you a little bit. Yourself?
Usual boring pageantry. You know how the people of Pipsy Hollow love a parade.
What are you doing here?
I sense a sadness in you.
It's just hard. You know? I miss you. I can still smell you on our pillow. When I close my eyes, it's still your face I see. It's just hard. You were here, and then you were gone. What do you want?
It was not easy for me to come here, Dark Harden. But I had one thing I felt I needed to say to you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.